Tom Pelissero, the NFL Network, said that the feeling within the coaches subcommittee is officials have gotten lax on players going face-to-face, standing over people, pointing fingers, etc. They won't focus so much on touchdown celebrations in this regard, but expect more flags to be thrown. Let's start there with Albert Breer, the senior NFL reporter for the Monday Morning Quarterback. He's been at the Steelers, Vikings, Packers, Bears, Lions, Colts, Browns, Bengals, Niners, Cardinals, Chargers, Cowboys, Rams, Raiders camps. I should have just said the camps you haven't been at. That might have been quicker there. This feels like it came out of nowhere that we're now enforcing the taunting rule here. Why?
Well, it's not that unusual. I think normally this time of year, Dan, they'll put out this video, and this video actually gets played for all of the players within the 32 teams. And so the fact that we have this, this rule clarification or emphasis, that sort of thing happens every year. I think it's probably just to, like Tom there reported, to tone down some of the, confrontations on the field that come from these sorts of things. And we saw it in the Super Bowl. Tyrann Mathieu and Tom Brady got after each other. Antoine Winfield and Tyreek Hill got after each other. And so, my guess would be, and I need to dig into this a little bit more. My guess would be because they've loosened the rules on touchdown celebrations, that maybe they feel like that's sort of spilled over into celebrations of other plays or taunting, and maybe they want to take care of that. It's an emotional game, so I think you have to let some stuff go, but my guess would be that the coaches here would probably be looking to try to avoid the sort of confrontations that we saw in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I like those confrontations.
I like them too. I'm all for them. But it's good for the drama. That's what we're watching. This is soap opera for guys, right? That's sort of what football is.
Yes, I like when it's not scripted. I like when you get true emotion. And usually the NFL plays to the fans. Like, what are the fans upset about? What do the fans want? It feels like they acquiesce. I don't know if there was this outcry from the fans saying, we're tired of seeing taunting.
The coaches might feel like, I've already got enough to manage. I don't want to have to manage my players' behavior.
Okay.
Right? That's my guess, right?
Fair enough.
I've got enough problems out here.
Fair enough.
I don't want to have to be getting on, my rookie defensive back, Antoine Winfield, for giving Tyreek Hill the peace sign,
Any other rule changes that happened that maybe weren't on the front burner?
No, I'm just trying to think of one to me that I think is a bigger deal than people realize is that they outlawed cut blocking outside of the tackle box. And I don't think people recognize how common that is, like outside zone runs. And then almost every screen pass. How many screens have you seen where there isn't someone, a lineman, cutting a linebacker or cutting a defensive back?
Yeah.
Now if you eliminate some of that, I think that could wind up having a sneaky big impact just because of the way those things are taught, And look, I think defensive players are going to applaud this because, what every defensive player would tell you is you've been protecting the offensive players forever. And here we got people going after our knees. We have stuff happening underneath the pile. And, I think defensive players would applaud this, but it's just as far as the flow of the game. One that I think slipped under the radar a little bit this offseason would be that one, the further outlawing of cut blocking, which I think is going to have an effect on outside runs. And I think it's also going to have a really big effect on screens. Maybe that's not the sexiest thing in the world, but I think there'll be an impact there.
The Athletic had a column, the 25 most intriguing players for the 2021 NFL season. And even though this player, who wasn't on the list, might not have a big impact on the regular season, I don't know if there's a player under a more watchful eye than Jordan Love, because now he's going to play all these preseason games. Now we get to see just how good he is and what that means for the possible future. If you're a Packer fan and you see progress there, you might not be holding on for dear life to Aaron Rodgers, that you might realize we do have something here. Or, oh my God, we got to hold on to Aaron Rodgers. Is there somebody who's more intriguing in the preseason than Jordan Love in your opinion?
So think about this, Dan. All right. So last year, no OTAs, no mini camp. They get to training camp, and really every coach is in the mode where we only have enough practice time to get our starters ready, right? Backup quarterbacks don't really run the offense during the season. So Jordan Love wasn't getting a lot of reps in the summer because they're getting Aaron Rodgers ready. Wasn't able to run the Packers offense much in the fall because he's running the scout team. And then they get to the spring, and I had a coach there tell me that if they ran 300 reps in OTAs, and this was just like a guesstimate, they ran 300 reps in the OTAs for the offense. Jordan Love took 270 of them. So that's above, that's across the first team, second team, all those guys. So you had this guy from getting almost no reps, and they didn't feel like he was ready at all coming out of last year, which is one of the reasons why they were so adamant about holding on to Aaron Rodgers. And then you had him drinking out of a fire hose, in essence, with Rodgers gone in the spring. So I'm with you. This is going to be fascinating seeing how he looks. And without question, this position the Packers are in after this year, where they're going to have Aaron Rodgers going into a contract year, and they're going to have to make a decision on what to do with him. And he could refuse to sign a deal, and they could be forced to trade him. They could extend him. All of that, I think, is colored by what happens with Jordan Love. And, the Packers have spent the last 3-4 months trying to get progress from Jordan Love. And now I think with these games, they're going to be looking to get answers on what Jordan Love is. And I think, again, that could have a massive impact on the way that they approach next February and March.
The worst backup quarterback situation is which team?
Jets, maybe. How
about a competitive team?
Do you know who James Morgan is? I think it's the Jets.
Yeah. But a competitive team.
A competitive team. If I was the Rams, I wouldn't feel tremendous about what they've got behind Matthew Stafford.
Are you confident with the Cowboys?
The Cowboys are the one, though. Yeah. I mean, you look at Ben DiNucci. Yeah. If I was the Cowboys, you combine the fact that Dak is coming off of an injury and you don't have much behind him, and you didn't replace Andy Dalton. And yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys are right there, because at least the Rams played their backup last year. I mean, Ben DiNucci got snaps, but I think without taking a look at every single one of them individually.
The Colts.
I think the Cowboys are there. The Colts, yeah. So but the thing is, Jacob Eason at least had some level of pedigree, played big time college football, has skill, skill set's fine. You know what I mean with him? It's just after the snap, he doesn't see it very well. And I think that's part of why Sam Ehlinger got some reps, but at least they've got a couple of guys they've drafted that are in the pipeline. I think if you ask most teams, they would take Jacob Eason over Ben DiNucci just based on talent, because at least Eason, there's a ceiling there. And he played at University of Georgia. He played at the University of Washington. I think, you'd feel more comfortable about going into a game. And that's what this is really about, right? Going into one game.
Yeah.
I think you feel more comfortable going into a game with Jacob Eason than you would Ben DiNucci.
Here's some good situations. The Raiders have Marcus Mariota. Browns have Case Keenum. Mm-hmm. Jags with Gardner Minshew. The Saints are going to have either
one or the
Taysom,
other,
or Jameis, and they could both be bad. Dolphins have Jacoby Brissett. Bears, Niners, Patriots with rookie quarterbacks.
I mean, even Blaine Gabbert isn't horrible, right? That's fine. I mean, you wouldn't want him to be your starter,
but they drafted Kyle Trask too.
Right. Yeah. So they've got a veteran guy and then a developmental guy, so they're okay.
Chiefs have Chad Henne. Seahawks have Geno Smith.
Those guys have experience, Yeah. I mean, you're not going to have, most teams aren't going to have Andy Dalton as a backup like the Cowboys did last year. And so, having a guy, like a Jacoby Brissett or a Geno Smith.
How did the Jets not have an established backup quarterback who's non-threatening?
And that's why I still think, I still look at it, and I don't think Nick Foles wants to go to the Jets, and maybe that's a factor in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think Nick Foles would be perfect for the Jets. The general manager there, Joe Douglas, was with Nick Foles in Philadelphia. And wouldn't you want Zach Wilson, beyond just what you're saying, which is the in case of emergency break glass thing, wouldn't you want Zach Wilson to have a veteran guy in the room as a sounding board, you know, the guy who's been there and done it and who can be a resource for him, right? You'd want to have somebody like that in the room. So I'm with you. I think that I wouldn't be surprised that the Jets make a move to put somebody like that in the room for Zach Wilson.
It's great to catch up with you as always. The best training camp stop that you had was where?
Man, I'll tell you what, like watching the Rams practice right now, I think I'm going to pick the Packers to win the NFC, but the Rams have they really made me think about it. I mean, I just the way the operation runs and the way Matthew Stafford looks and just watching Raheem Morris as their new defensive coordinator and watching the way Jalen Ramsey is with his teammates, there's a really good vibe there. And can't beat the weather down there either. So
well, okay.
I'll go with the Rams.
Give me the team that you came away going, uh-oh.
Like, like in a bad way?
Yeah.
It's so hard this time of year to say that about anybody. The Steelers' offensive line, I would be concerned with. I would just like that when I was there, they had a rookie at left tackle and Dan Moore, a rookie at center. I'd just be concerned about that offensive line. And I think the defense is going to be really good. Is the defense going to be like James Ferrier, Troy Polamalu, James Harrison carry the team good? I think at least for a little while they figure out the offensive line, they might need to be. So that was the one that really sort of stuck out to me was that Steelers offensive line. And Mike Tomlin always figures this stuff out. That Steelers offensive line would have me pretty worried if I was there.
Oh, this was brought up by one of our listeners. Why are Mike Shanahan and Mike Holmgren not in the Hall of Fame?
Mike Shanahan to me should be. I mean, like if the Hall of Fame is about like the story of pro football and like the impact you've had on pro football, how many teams are running Shanahan's offense 25 years after because you remember what it was like in 95, 96, no one knew what to do with that run game. It basically pumped life into John Elway's career at the very end. Like that offense that went in 25 years ago, half the league's running it now. Like people who don't like offensive coaches who don't know it are trying to get on staffs that run it so they can learn it. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
how he won 2 Super Bowls and then the impact that he had on football overall. I don't know why he isn't. And Holmgren, I think Holmgren's there too. He's went to the Super Bowl with 2 different teams and his coaching tree is ridiculous. Like you look at those Packers staffs and the guys that were on those staffs and Steve Mariucci and John Gruden. And you go up and down the line, like both those guys at least deserve consideration. I think Shanahan should be in, and I'm surprised he isn't. And when I look at like Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson, all due respect to those guys, I think Shanahan is easily on those guys' level.
Yeah, I do too. And I think you're going to look at Bill Cowher and you're going to have other coaches be compared to Bill Cowher. So Mike Tomlin is already a Hall of Fame coach, in my opinion.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like if Cowher's in, Mike Tomlin's going to be in.
Yeah. And I think, to me, like it's tough with coaches because I think it's not just success. It's like legacy. It's the impact. You know what I mean? So it's not just like Tony Dungy, for example, like the impact that Tony Dungy had. Now, Tony Dungy only won 1 Super Bowl, but Tony Dungy's impact on football, the first African-American coach to win a Super Bowl, the amount of assistants that he had that became really good head coaches, I don't think you'd argue Tony Dungy's a Hall of Famer, but it's not about his overall record because there are a lot of people who could match his record. It's Tony Dungy's impact on the game of football. And, I think that that's sort of what you have to look at with some of these coaches. That's why I say with Shanahan, like his impact is undeniable. I mean, look across the league, Sean McVay, his son, Kyle in San Francisco, Matt LaFleur, Arthur Smith, who never coached for him, but was influenced by him because he learned his offense from LaFleur. Like the branches of his tree are all over the place. And so I think you have to consider impact on the game. And that to me is like where you separate the guys, some guys who've won 1 or 2 versus other guys who have won 1 or 2, which ones do you give entrance to the Hall of Fame with the other coaches who have won 4 Super Bowls, the guys like Bill Walsh and Bill Belichick and Chuck Noll. Great to talk to you, Albert. Thanks for joining us as always. All right. Thanks, Dan. That's Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter for the Monday Morning Quarterback. He's good. I always learn something when he's on.